Now, if you're looking to decide between the Nicepeople Workout Bench and the Finer Form Bench, then this video is for you. I bought and tested both of these benches out, and I'm going to be going with the pros and cons of each of them and letting you know which one I like. Now, keep in mind that this video isn't sponsored by any of these benches. I bought both of these myself. So let's go ahead and get started. So some common characteristics with both benches right off the bat. They're both made of alloy steel, so they've got the same durability, but with both benches, they both have fixed footrests that you see right over there, and likewise over there. Now, the angling is the same on both benches. Finer Form characterizes itself as a 5-in-1 bench, but it pretty much functions the same as the Nicepeople bench, just because with the Finer Form bench, if you go ahead and angle it differently, those are the different functionalities that this bench considers that it has. Now, both benches do fold up pretty easily just by pulling these knobs here. And also with the Nicepeople bench, same thing. If you pull the knob, where's the knob? On the side, right underneath there, this knob here, it's going to be able to fold up as well. Now, if we really get into detail between what are the differences between both benches, you can see that the seating pad of the Finer Form bench is actually longer than the seating pad of the Nicepeople bench. So if you tend to have longer thighs, to simply give you an idea, the Finer Form bench measures around 16 inches, whereas the Nicepeople bench is going to measure at around 13.5 inches. So that is going to give you more support with the Finer Form bench versus the Nicepeople bench. In addition to that, I do believe that the Finer Form bench does weigh more than the Nicepeople bench. With the Nicepeople bench, I think it's around like 15-ish pounds, but the Finer Form bench definitely is a bit heavier compared to the Nicepeople bench. Now, if you do plan on putting this away, I do feel like the Nicepeople bench is going to do the trick. But I'd say for a bit larger people, or if you plan on having your bench out most of the time, the Finer Form bench is going to do just fine. Like for me personally, I've had the Finer Form bench out on my squat rack. I don't really fold it up and put it away. It just stays out and it does just fine. Now, a couple of things to note is the padding. I personally feel like they both feel the same. So they have the fixed footrests and they both incline. But likewise with the Nicepeople bench, I do feel like it's a bit stiffer. It's not as padded as compared to the Finer Form bench. Now keep in mind with the Finer Form bench here, I've been using this for quite some time and the padding still feels a lot softer compared to the Nicepeople bench. But sometimes people want that firmness. For example, like if you prefer sleeping on a firm mattress versus a soft mattress, that's where the Nicepeople bench is going to come in handy. Now, I do want to show you the different positions as far as the bench goes. So they both are able to go completely upright. So this is going to be great for overhead shoulder presses. If you want to go into incline, they both allow incline right there. So both allow incline. Now for a complete flat bench, which I believe is this angle here, they're both capable of going completely flat. So that's the Nicepeople flat bench right there. So they're both able to go completely flat. Now I do want to measure out that the Finer Form bench measures at around 47 inches, whereas the Nicepeople bench is going to measure at around 43.5 inches. So right now, I do get the feeling that for taller, slightly larger people, the Finer Form bench is going to be a great option. But if you let's say you're on the smaller size, the Nicepeople bench is going to be a great option for you. Not only that, but it also weighs less as well. Now, one thing I want to point out is that anytime it comes to working out, I do prefer a wider base of support, especially when I'm doing a bench press or just using the bench in general, okay? Just because a wider base of support does technically mean more support. So what I mean by this is if I go ahead and measure the base of support of the Finer Form bench versus the Nicepeople bench, we have the front leg, which measures at around 16.5 for the Nicepeople bench versus the Finer Form bench, which is around 17 inches wide. And as far as the length goes, the Finer Form bench does measure at around 46 inches, whereas the Nicepeople bench measures at around, same thing, well, I guess slightly shorter, at around 45.5 inches. So base of support wise, I do feel like they're pretty similar. I mean, common, I guess call it physics, like just having a wider base of support, like pretend your feet are spread apart. You have more support if your feet are spread apart compared to if they're close together. Now, the legs on both benches do measure roughly the same. Now, the last angle I want to go over is just simply the decline angle, which both benches are capable of doing. They're both capable of doing incline. Now, neither bench is able to adjust the footrest or the seating pad. But one thing I do want to point out is with the finer form bench versus the Nicepeople bench, okay, if you hear that, I guess it technically does make a slight difference that it's easier to adjust the angle just because the finer form bench, the metal piece, it just slides forward. So if I go ahead and show you what I mean, I'm not sure if it's because the bracket is loose, but technically it does make it easier to adjust the angle. Whereas the finer form bench, if I go ahead and remove this, it's a bit more stiff, but I'm not sure, maybe that's because of the tightening of the metal piece. But you can see that it can be looser, I guess. I mean, let me just double check. Yeah, so I guess there's no way to loosen up this portion here. It is just going to be like that. Whereas the Nicepeople bench, again, no way to loosen it, but it technically just easily moves up to the second or the prong itself. Now, the last thing I want to point out between both benches is just make sure whichever bench you end up using, that it is securely placed into the prongs here. Likewise, with the Nicepeople bench, just make sure that this piece is placed securely into the prongs here. So with that being said, which bench do I think is better? Now, after having tested both benches out, they're both made of the same material. They both have fixed footrests. They both can go the same angle, so they can go completely from upright all the way to decline. Me personally, as someone who's around 160, 170 pounds, 5'9", I do prefer this bench in particular. I personally like the padding, which feels softer, and I do like how the seat is a bit longer as compared to the Nicepeople bench. But if you plan on moving this around a lot, if you plan on storing it away, if you're more on the smaller size, I think this is a great option for you. I mean, you can really see the difference as far as the seating pads go, but just know that this is a bit firmer, but maybe you prefer firm benches as compared to softer benches. But I gotta give it to the finer form bench as being my personal choice. But honestly, I can see why the Nicepeople bench does have preference as well. And just an additive, as I mentioned before, with the Nicepeople bench, it does make it a lot easier to remove or adjust the angle, just because the metal piece just locks into place. Whereas the finer form bench, like if this stays up and you press down, it takes a bit more effort to go ahead and adjust the angle compared to the Nicepeople bench. But there you have it, guys. I hope you found this video helpful as far as which bench or workout bench I prefer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.